Alright folks, so I went ahead and been working on this rear end on this Durango here, and got it apart, got the old seals out, wasn't too bad to do, and so I got them out, I'm getting ready to pull these axle bearings out and get that all out of the way. Now the original seals are a little bit different from these repops here, but they got a little outer edge on them there. So they got a little outer edge, kind of a lip, I guess you would call it. Let's see, let's focus this thing a little bit. Focus, focus. Focus. But anyway, it's got that lip on the outer edge there, and this is the original ones here. And the repops do not, but you know, they'll slip right in there. But I'll show you what I'm talking about real quick. So on our reproductions here, if we look, pull these out of the box here. Here's the part number, by the way. This camera's horrible. There we go. Alright, so, and it's the same thing for both sides as well. But this was a kit, the bearings and the seals came together. So anyway, so here's our new seal here. And as you can see, this one just presses right on in there. And you know, just presses in like a regular old axle seal. But the difference is, of course it falls on the ground, but the difference is it doesn't have an outer lip on it. That's the difference. That doesn't matter at all. Just like this one, it's got the outer edge there slash lip. But anyway, just keep that in mind. These are the original, and these are the repops there. So just knock them on the edge, they'll come right on out. But anyway, move on to the next part here. Run into a little issue. So I learned something as well on this Durango, and I didn't really know that. But anyway, we have two different axles that are in this rear end. One is the longer one that is on the driver's side, and then the shorter one is on the passenger side. So it's two different lengths, which I thought that was kind of odd, but I guess you learn something every day. But anyway, so I got the axles out here, and the one on the passenger side, I got it out as well. I went ahead and started setting my tool up so I can get this axle bearing out, and I just threw these drums back on here for now so it keeps, you know, trash and dirt out of there. I don't have a slide hammer to attach to that tool to pull them out with, so I'm gonna have to come up with something for that yet. But to get onto our passenger side axle, it's not looking too good. So there's a brand new drum, but as you can see the difference here. Let's see if I can catch that. I want to catch that. Alright, let me focus here. Come on, focus, focus. Alright, there we go. Alright, so if you look at our passenger side axle there, it has got quite a bit of excessive wear. And plus where the bearing rides as well, it's getting pitted, and you know, it's obviously grooved pretty bad. Now the one on our driver's side is not bad at all. It's got a little bit of wear, but it ain't bad at all. So that part is good. And they are two different lengths, so you have to keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start seeing if I can. I really don't want to buy the axle, because then I'm worried that the spline ain't going to be right. But I'm going to double check here. But I believe it's a 31 spline. Focus here. I believe it's a 31 spline, so I'm going to double check it, make sure. But that's the reason I really don't want to buy a new one, because I'm scared that it's going to be either the wrong length or the wrong spline or both, and it's going to end up into the, you know, a big thing where I can't find an axle for this side. Now, the driver's side, we're going to reuse that. We're going to go ahead and come up with the slide hammer here and pop these bearings out on both sides and go ahead and get a new seals in it, and we'll go ahead and put this driver's side back together, because our axle on the driver's side is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So we'll reuse that. And then the one on the passenger side, I'm gonna see if I can locate one. I'm gonna count the splines. I believe it's a 31, but I'm gonna double check it, make sure. But I'm gonna double count the splines, and I'm gonna see if I can locate a good used one. And they don't have no wear or nothing on it that matches what I need, and just go that route, because I really don't want to buy a new one and a chance it being off about something. And you know, either the splines or the wrong length or both, or the bearing ain't gonna fit right. And you know, I already went ahead and checked their new bearings. I went ahead and I took them out of the box and I slid them on their old axles, and they fit pretty good. And plus the other reason I'm doing this too is when I put it down on the old axle, let me go ahead and open this thing up and show y'all what I'm talking about here. This is why I'm replacing it too. So here's our new axle bearings here, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so I went ahead and slid our new bearing down on our axle that has got pretty good amount of wear on it, as you can see. And if we slide it down to where it would ride, where the old one did, let me show you something. This is why you want to replace it here. It's got quite a bit of excessive play there, and that's something that's not good at all. Man, I can move that thing. Look at that. Let me see. If I can turn the camera over here. But see, we can move this thing. Look at all the play in that thing. See, that's what you don't want. You don't want all that play like that. Your axle is, you know, it's going to have a lot of play like that, and it's not good, because that's going to stress out the, you know, spider gears and their inner carrier bearings and everything else. It's going to put excessive, you know, stress on them too. So that's why we're replacing it. But I'm going to find an axle. They make a repair bearing, supposedly, and you know, that's supposed to move the bearing in a different location. I'm not quite sure how it works. I guess it moves it. I don't know if it moves it further in or what, but you know, this one's worn so bad that I don't really think it would even work. And I just don't want to do that. In my opinion, it's not really the correct way to do it. And I'm just going to replace the whole axle. But anyway, that's why you want to replace that. Because if we put it on our other one, for our driver's side here, and bring it on down, you know, I can't really hardly move that a little bit, but it's not like wobbling like that one was. Now, if we come over here, I can't really see. I mean, it's a little bit, but it's nowhere near like the other one. So I'm gonna make a decision here if I'm gonna replace both of them, or just the, you know, obviously the one that's pretty bad, which we're going to have to replace. And I don't want to, you know, I'm the type of guy, I don't want to take this rear end apart 3 times just to do something. If it's going to be apart, we're going to fix everything right the first time and be done with it. But that's where I'm at here on that. And so I'm going to see if I can find a good used axle and just throw in it. That way I ain't got to spend a pile of money, because I've looked at O'Reilly's and they're about $266. And I've looked at AutoZone, they're about $183. And it's not counting tax or nothing on both of them. And then I haven't looked at Advanced, which they're probably, you know, advanced in prices, because something like that, an axle like that, I kind of rather get that locally. That way, if it gets messed up and something's off about it, you know, I can take it back locally. So some stuff, you know, I don't mind doing locally like that, but most stuff I try and do online if I can. It's just, it saves a lot of headaches and makes it more convenient. So I'm gonna do some research on this axle. I gotta count the splines, and from when I'm coming up is, according to the internet, it's 31 splines. So I'm gonna double check it and make sure for sure that it is, and I'm gonna measure it. And then I'll probably end up, I'd rather just buy a whole new axle, to be honest, but I might put a used one in it if I could find one that'll work, that ain't got a bunch of wear on it, and just go that route. Because I'm still leery about buying a brand new one like that and something being off about it. And then, I don't know. To me, I think that's just too much wear. I wouldn't even, you know, waste the money on buying a repair bearing and all that. In my opinion, I I don't think it's really worth it because it's as bad as it's worn and everything. I don't think that's going to fix it. And you got to think too, you know, even if it puts that bearing in the same spot and it's like a tighter, you know, bearing, I guess. I don't know how. I had to do some research, but I don't know if it's like a tighter bearing where to take up the difference where the wear is, you know. You got to think too that, you know, it might be out of round too as that axle's rotating. You don't want that. You really don't. It's just a domino effect. And that's what's happening with this Durango, you know, doing rear shocks on it, doing the axle bearings and seals, which it still had the original factory axle bearings and seals, and it actually had a little bit of shavings on the side behind the seal, and I already done cleaned it all out. But that's a good thing I caught that. That's why, you know, you need to take your time and do it right. So I'm gonna look for either a good used axle, or I'll see if I can find a deal. I've looked online. I have found some repops for, they were wanting about $115-120, which that would be awesome if that's the case, because I'd order that in a heartbeat and go and throw it in. But, you know, I'm just scared that something's going to be off. The link's going to be off, or, you know, it's going to be the wrong spline, or, you know, just something like that. So, anyway, and I didn't know that either about the Durango. Like I mentioned, there are two different links. The short one is on the passenger side, and the long one is on the driver's side. So that's kind of weird, because the rear end, when you look underneath of it, don't look like it's, you know, offset to one side or the other. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. But whatever, I think it's something internal. It must be what it is, but whatever. But anyway, that's where we're at. So I got to locate an axle here, and then I'll go ahead and come up with something with the darn slide hammer so I can get this axle bearing out of here and go on and get this side put back together. And then it'll just be that side. Then we'll get our wheels and tires, and we're going to sit this thing on the ground. We're going to take it up, get a front end alignment, and I've got it pretty close. It's, you know, it's still off, obviously, but it's closer. And little update here is another little update. I got the Acorn style lug nuts in, got them torqued down, and they fit beautifully. So much better, so much better. So that worked out good. I think the other ones were too short, and that's what was going on, because you got to a certain spot, they felt like they were either going to cross thread, or, you know, the taper was off, or something was off about them. So I might save them for another project. I mean, they're the correct thread, you know, 1/2 inch 20, but they just didn't feel right. You know, once you got to start to tighten the wheel up, something wasn't right. But anyway, so we got these Acorn style on here. I know it's not, you know, technically correct, but they work, and they will work. And they torque down beautifully, so that takes care of that issue. And now we'll have all the same size lug nuts all the way around, because before we had 19/3/4 on the back, and then we had a 21mm on the front, so that took care of that issue, and that just makes it easier. So now we got 3/4 inch all the way around, so it makes it nice. They all match, and, you know, they might be the Acorn style versus the you know, closed in, I guess you would call it. It looks kind of like this, but there's that. Yeah, I took it off. But yeah, I only have one remaining. I guess you would call that a closed end one there, but yeah, this is the first set I ordered, and they just did not feel right at all. Correct thread and pitch and everything, but they just didn't feel right. But anyway, that's where we're at. So that takes care of the lug nut issue. And now we just got to get our axle for the rear end there, and then we'll go ahead and get this thing together as much as we can. And then, so we'll probably be waiting on that, and then we'll take and go on and get this thing as close as I can, because run out of time, and I ain't got long. You know, Christmas is gonna be here before you know it, and I want to get this thing wrapped up. But anyway, y'all take care, and this is why you take your time, you know, checking things, because I was just gonna throw new axle bearings and seals in it and let it ride. And, you know, that's why when you take something apart, something like that, you know, I'm not gonna let that go like that. So we want to get as much, you know, make this vehicle last as long as possible. It's nothing special, but, you know, this is my main vehicle, and it's got to last. If you know, it's got to last. So trying to retire my C10 and get out of that thing, because that thing, not gonna get into it. It's a basket case. But anyway, that's where we're at. So y'all take care, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and you know, do like I do, you know, take the time and, you know, check stuff out like that, because you don't want to, you know, mess around with something like that. But that's why we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. Take care. Bye.